Thank you, Corey. And next we will hear from, I'm sorry, thank you, CJ. And next we will hear from his sister, Melissa Jones.
Hello.
Oh, you get a little closer and talk loud as you can.
After meeting yesterday, the meeting went very well. We got a lot of questions off of our chest, hard questions that would basically force them to give us the answers or not give us the answers. The one thing that I was looking for was for them to let us know that they will actually have the passion behind fighting for Corey. And that was one thing that I didn't have to ask. One of the ladies there, Sandra, she came out and said that there will be passion, and that's what I was looking for. I didn't want anything that was thrown together, just a whole bunch of paperwork and they just leave. So that's the most wonderful thing that I heard was passion, because not everyone gets to this point. Sometimes you don't even get here. It could have been thrown out. So I'm staying very hopeful and knowing that what they said to us will be true, and they will actually fight, and not just make this another case or just brush anything under the rug. So we're really hopeful, and we're looking for the best outcome with this grand jury process. So that's the only thing we could do is trust and believe that they're going to do their part and stick to their word.
And finally, we're... Okay. Next, we're going to hear from Miss Katie Jones. Speak loud.
We are sad at the decision to go to grand jury. We were optimistic for a direct file. Now we're optimistic for this process. Our family, as I explained to the state attorney, we have held decorum, and we want to continue to believe and have the faith of the words that he has spoken to us, that he will pursue justice for Corey.
Amen. And finally, we will hear from Corey's father, Clinton Jones Sr. Mr. Jones, come here and sit down. Speak as loud as you can.
Good morning. It's been a hard 6 months of waiting, and waiting to get an answer, to get justice for my son Corey. A good kid, a loving kid, a kind kid. And for something like this to happen to him, I'm angry. I'm angry because it shouldn't happen. This was a police officer, the one supposed to hold up a standard for the community. And he took my son's life because he thought it was something else. He wasn't even dressed appropriately in police attire. He didn't even have a flashlight, just a flashlight, to say who he was. But he took my son's life. So I'm optimistic that we will get justice for Corey. I'm holding the state attorney that he will do the right things, that he will get justice, that he will not let this ex-officer get off with the crime that he did to my son. We was talking him, man, I don't even have any grandchildren from him now. I can't see him no more. And I just want to know why. What was the reasoning? It shouldn't have happened. So I want you to pray for my family, all the clergymen. Pray for my family. We need your prayers. We are hurting. You may see us and you just don't know how hurting this is. We don't have any closure yet. We need closure and justice for Corey. Thank you.
Okay. We'll try to take questions at this time, if there are any.
Has the state attorney said that they will make the grand jury transcripts available to at least you and the family?
They have not.
Did you ask for that?
Yeah, we want transparency, but and like we said, we would have preferred a direct filing. We're always leery of these secret grand jury proceedings.
Did he say, aside from past practice of him since he's been in this position with 2 other cases, did he give you any other rationale for why to go grand jury versus direct verdict?
No rationale other than that was the decision they made. They told CJ and the family that they had a lot of evidence, and CJ asked the question that if we got a lot of evidence, why can't we direct file? And they said that they made a decision, Melissa, based on policy that they're going to send it to the grand jury, and that was a little troubling for the family. If you got the evidence, why can't you go ahead and charge?
Have they updated you at all on the, I know you can't say publicly about the investigation, he says it's still ongoing, but have you given you any update what that evidence might be or what they've found so far?
They gave information that there were over 100 witnesses, I guess in 30 states, that they have, I'm sorry?
Yeah, over 200 witnesses interviewed over three countries as well.
And so with all this evidence, you would want to believe after 6 months that we have enough to charge, but based on policy, they said they're sending it to the grand jury. And understand what we said. And understand what we said previously. Based on the recent history in America of grand jury proceedings, in many cities when you have officer-involved shootings of people of color, grand juries have not been good for our community in getting the justice we seek. So we are very, very leery of this whole grand jury proceeding. But as Mr. Jones, Reverend Jones said, they are a faithful family, they're a prayerful family, and they're optimistic that State Attorney Aronberg will get justice for Corey. They are taking him at his word that he will get justice for their son too. You know, they have on their wall at the State Attorney's office as you walk in, securing justice, safeguarding the community, and protecting the victims and getting justice for the people. Corey is the people. Corey should get justice too. It shouldn't be just people get justice when it's crimes charged against people in our community. When we are the victims, we should get justice too. We don't want it to just be words on the wall.
Do you know that Mr. Aronberg is going to be presenting in front of the grand jury, or is he going to relegate it or delegate it to someone else?
Brian Fernandez will be the actual state attorney presenting before the grand jury.
Well, why not Mr. Aronberg?
He's going to participate, as I understand it, but Brian Fernandez and Sandra
And the assistant state attorney Ellis and Brian Fernandez, they will be the lead in presenting the state's evidence that they have in front of the grand jury.
But we understand State Attorney Dave Aronberg will be participating with his office in this very important matter.
Mr. Crump, Andrew with Channel 5. Wanted to find out, is there any source of recourse for the family in the event that no charges are brought upon by the grand jury? It's our knowledge that there may be evidence that is released to the public once that is complete.
Well, you know, until we see the evidence, we can't answer that question. And believe you me, the family has asked that the audio recording be released because, you know, it's objective, hard evidence. It's not going to change whether it's released or not. And they really want transparency because would you trust a grand jury proceeding in secrecy where you have prosecutors' offices that work with police officers on a regular basis? You know, that's the whole situation we've been seeing, whether in Ferguson or Staten Island, New York, and Cleveland, this symbiotic relationship between law enforcement officers and prosecutors, that it's a hard thing to take with a leap of faith. But, you know, Reverend Jones and his family, they have faith, and they're believing in State Attorney Aronberg that he will get justice for Corey. They are believing, and they are optimistic. They just wish it didn't have to go through another 2 months in this secret grand jury proceeding.
In Missouri,
Thomas Forster, CBS 12. Do you think the state attorney has done enough, his job enough to say, before he handed it over to the grand jury?
Well, as Melissa said, they were passionate about it. I know Attorney Fernandez has kept the family updated on certain factors that they felt they could reveal. They said they had 200 witnesses, multiple states, even 3 countries. That's a lot of evidence. We don't know what that evidence is, but it's a lot of evidence. And so we want to believe with all that evidence, combined with their passion to get justice for Corey Jones, that based on the statistical history in America of grand jury proceedings, and don't take my word for it, go check it, 99.99999% of the time when the prosecutor seeks an indictment from the grand jury, an indictment is returned. So that tells us clearly, if the prosecutor wants an indictment, the grand jury will indict. If he doesn't want an indictment, the grand jury won't indict. And so we can't escape those statistics, and we want to let the state attorney's office know that we are fully aware of those statistics. So again, it is clearly in the hands of the state attorney's office whether there will be an indictment or not.
Attorney Crump, it's been that massive amount of what they call evidence that has been overwhelming for the state attorney's offices that have handled cases like this in other states. Because the grand jury are just lay people, if you bombard them with information, some of which is going to be contradictory, what are your chances then?
Well, it's clear. It can't be any clearer. The grand jury will do what the prosecutor wants them to do. I mean, I can't think of a higher percentage of discretion when they want an indictment. 99.999% of the time. And so it's very clear. And you're right. They had video evidence in other cities where they took it to a grand jury and the case died. And so the family is very leery of the grand jury process. Everybody in the African American community is leery of the grand jury process because we know that system is a broken system and doesn't work for our community when we seek justice. But the individuals matter, and the officials in the state attorney's office, we're believing that they're going to do right by Corey. And we all have to be held accountable. We have to be held accountable, police officers have to be held accountable. State attorneys have to be held accountable for doing justice.
Mr. Crump, aside from the rationale for why they sent it to a grand jury, were there other questions the family had yesterday to meet with Mr. Aronberg that were not answered?
Yeah, you all want to address anything about them not being able to tell you about the evidence and that kind of thing? They asked a lot of questions that were not answered because they said they couldn't comment on the evidence because they were sending the matter to the grand jury. And that was a little troubling for the family. But, you know, all in all, it was a good meeting. The family believed that they had passion because, let's face it, like you said, it's a lot of evidence. If you just disseminate this evidence with no passion or concern, then the grand jury will be looking for the only lawyers in that room to give them some guidance as to what they should do. And so Melissa made it a point of asking them, I understand you're going to present it to the grand jury, but will you present it with passion to the grand jury? Like you care about Corey's life. And they said they did care about Corey's life, and they will be passionate when they present it. Correct, Melissa?
Yeah, they ended up telling me. I didn't have to ask them. So I'm very hopeful that they're gonna stand up and, you know, keep their word.
You said?
Yeah, I was saying that I didn't have to ask them. It was just in my mind, did they, you know, have the passion? And when Sandra came out and just said it, I was like, right there, that's what I wanted to hear, that you would have passion. So it's something that I didn't have to say it out to them. So that's something that I'm really hopeful for, and I'm trusting and believing that it's going to work out in our favor.
Okay. Any more questions?
It would take to make the grand jury present?
Yes, they said it would be presented to this grand jury that was impounded in January. That term ends June 30th. So they said it would be a decision by June 30th. So this family has 2 more months of waiting in agony to see if there's going to be a charge against the man who killed their son, their brother, their loved one. And it's a hard wait.
But did they say how long it would take to make the presentment in this particular case? Will they have a week of evidence, 2 weeks?
They did not. They said there was a lot of evidence to present.
The audio recording you're talking about.
They did not tell us what's on the audio recording, and they would not release the audio recording.
Where's it thought to be
From the tow truck company.
You said that there were discrepancies between the statements and the evidence. Was the statements, did they indicate that the statement is that from Officer Raja? And did they go into what?
They did not. They said there was inconsistencies from statements made and the evidence that they now have in their possession and that they can prove.
But they didn't tell you what?
They did not.
Did they say anything about the timeline of when, from the time that Corey was shot to the time that he was found, or when the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office got on the scene?
Okay, cool.
Did you guys anything about that?
They did not make any statements or comments about that pending the investigations ongoing and it's going in front of a grand jury.
Yes, ma'am. They haven't given us any information on the audio recordings, only to say that there's an audio recording that helps them with understanding, certain factors of this case. And, we believe you me, we asked, we pried, but they would not tell us what was on that recording.
Mr. Crump, so he has to present it or will present it during the current term, which ends June 30th. Does the grand jury have to then either return an indictment or dismiss and clear former Officer Raja by June 30th, or how could it be longer than that?
That's a question for State Attorney Dave Aronberg. They told the family in very clear, unambiguous terms that this will be presented by June 30th, and they should have their decision by then. So I take that to mean that it's going to end by June 30th. It'll be a long, hot summer in Palm Beach County.
A period of deliberations or something like that, or where you would have a regular jury deciding a verdict whether or not, instead of an indictment, there's no deliberation period.
and we understand a jury can always deliberate. You know, how long they take to deliberate is how long the jury needs to deliberate.
So that could go beyond June 30th?
No, by June 30th, the state attorney said that they will have a decision, and they will announce the decision by June 30th.
Do you think this was a political decision by State Attorney Aronberg because he's up for re-election? He can now throw up his hands either way and say, hey, it wasn't my call.
Well, they said it was their policy. We taken him at his word that that's his policy. The family, CJ asks, with all the evidence, why can't we have a direct filing? He specifically asked that question, and the answer he was given, it was their policy, and based on their policy, they made a decision to give it to the grand jury.
Does the state attorney, even if it goes to the grand jury, have any influence as to what charges or what indictments?
We asked those questions again, and they said everything is on the table. They said.
Actual call was recorded. Did they confirm that?
They confirmed that there's an audio recording. Yes.
What about a 911 call from Officer Raja?
We did. Did they confirm that?
They did not confirm that they had any audio of a 911 call from Raja.
Attorney Crawford.
Okay. Just a few more. Okay.
Last question for me.
All right. And we'll take
You've got
two more, and then we're going to
Yeah,
finish.
you've got two different camps now. I was at a press conference yesterday. Is there any concern that because there are two separate camps, that confusion could interfere in this, or people could come out with different opinions based on what camp gets more?
Well, I think everybody in Palm Beach County, everybody in America is going to have an opinion as to what happened. This is the immediate family of Corey Jones. His father and his brother and his sisters, that's his immediate family. Those are the people who, you know, the court recognized as speaking for Corey Jones. And so we're respectful for everybody, you know, voicing their concern about whether there's going to be justice for their loved one, their friend, their cousin. They all, you know, I didn't know Corey. I'm affected by it. Everybody's affected by it when you continue to see, you know, young people, especially men of color, being killed by law enforcement officers in the most unbelievable ways. That makes no sense to anybody, but yet the court system continues to intellectually justify the killings, and they're swept under the rug. Nobody's held accountable, and there's no deterrent to it happening again. And so we see it being perpetuated over and over again, and we have to keep burying our children. We're fed up with it, and we want to see some changes. We want to see justice work for our community too.
Any idea of uniting? Is there
That's stuff that you can't control. People are going to be able to do what they want to do, and you just pray for everybody.
Yeah, I'm just speaking of public perception.
Again, I think the public understands what happened. Corey Jones was killed, and as his father said, he shouldn't be. And everything else is irrelevant. It's about justice.
Everything is on the table. Or what is everything? What's on the table?
Well, you know, when you kill somebody, you can have first degree, second degree, manslaughter, culpable negligence. You know, it's any litany of things that they can present to the grand jury to hold him accountable, all the way to perjury or fraud. Okay? Thank y'all.